Today on nosaibasfood we'll be making Karahi gosht, and this one is using less oil. So for anyone who likes a bit of a healthier twist, this one was for you. It's easy to make, it'll be ready in over around 2 hours, but it's worth the wait and worth the effort. So to begin, add your vegetable oil. Now usually curries are drowning in oil, but this one will still have the good amazing taste, but just using less oil. So once your oil is heated over medium-high heat, add in your chopped onions. You can see I've used loads. Also then you can add your garlic and ginger which you've minced. And I just feel that the more onions, the more of the delicious gravy you'll get out of it. And it's like silky and just completely yummy. So cook this over medium-high heat until your onions gain some colour, and you're just going to mix it so it doesn't stick. And just give it around over 5 minutes roughly until your onions, as you can see, gain that light brown colour. And once you've got that, you can then add your meat. I've used mixed lamb pieces, but you can go for any other kind of piece of meat. You can go for beef, and it's up to you. Once you've added in your meat, just mix it all up, and you're going to cook it for another 5 minutes for the meat to gain some colour, and obviously keep mixing it in between. You're going to be doing a lot of mixing, so just get yourself prepared. Once you've got some colour on your meat, as you can see, you can then start adding in your spices. So I started by adding in some salt, some turmeric, I then added some cumin, some coriander powder, some chilli powder, and obviously add this as to your taste, depends how chilli you like it. And then I added, which I like to add in my curries, is tomato paste, just a little bit, just to give it some colour. But if you're going to add a lot of chilli powder, then you won't need to get that colour because it'll come from your chilli powder. Once you've mixed it for a few minutes, you can then add some fenugreek leaves. Now this is not necessarily something that you would want to use if you didn't have, but if you do have it on hand, then do add it. Mix that all up. After a few minutes on the heat, you can then add in your tomatoes, and the more tomatoes, just like the onions, I feel make it a really silky, it just gives it smooth silky taste. So I like to add in my tomatoes as well, and then mix well, leave it to cook for around 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to be stirring it in between until your tomatoes disintegrate, and you can just then get that kind of masala really smooth, and you just honestly absolutely love Karahi gosht. So just looking at this again brings back amazing memories. So if you love it as much as I do, do give it a go. This is definitely worth it. So once you've given it good mix and left it, you're going to probably for 10 to 15 minutes you're going to keep cooking it, and once you're happy with that, you're going to bring down the heat to medium low and take a bit of the masala out and add it to some plain yogurt, give it a good mix, and then you're going to add it back in to your pot and mix it in gently. And you're just doing that so that it can temper the temperature, because you don't want it to then curdle. So I like to add yogurt. I feel like it gives it a richness to the taste of the curry. But if you don't like to add the yogurt, you don't have to. But like I said, it's just a preference for me. Now once you've added in the yogurt, You're going to cook it for around 35 to 40 minutes over medium-low heat, uncovered, and you're just going to keep stirring it in between. Obviously, the major thing is to taste it. Now, I couldn't taste this one at the time, so my sister was happily doing the job for me. She was tasting it, she was telling me what to add more, and I was just asking her to describe to me what it tastes like so I can adjust the seasoning. And just like I love to taste, she loved to taste. Once you're happy with the taste and the seasoning and obviously the heat as well, you can then leave it to cook for around 35 to 40 minutes. But do make sure that you get that seasoning perfect, because the worst thing you want is bland curry or a curry that just has a weird taste to it. So checking and tasting is key, and if you can't do it, then get someone else to. I'm sure they'll be happily doing that. The more you cook it uncovered, the more the gravy is going to become thick and it's going to be less of it. So you need to keep mixing it, because it's not drowning in oil like usually some curries are. You're going to make sure that it's not sticking in. And don't fear that if you feel like it is becoming quite thick, you can always add in some water, which I will do eventually. I literally added a drop. You could add more if you want it to be more runny, and it doesn't harm. It doesn't harm the fact that you're adding a bit more water. It's actually going to bring the curry together nicely. Once you have done that, you then cover it, and over low heat you're going to cook it for a further 10 to 15 minutes just to get that meat nice and tender. And once you're happy with that, add in your coriander that you've freshly chopped, mix it in and leave it for a few more minutes just for it to cook through. And then if you're happy with the meat, if you're happy with the consistency, and if you're happy as general, which you should be, then you can be ready to serve. It's simply that delicious. You don't feel heavy after eating it. You don't feel like you need to go to get an indigestion remedy. It's absolutely delicious in flavour, less oil. You need to try it, and go visit nosaibasfood.com for the full recipe and the list of ingredients. And I hope you enjoyed.